Hey everybody, I'm super happy to start this video series. New video will come out every week talking about my portfolio, but also about the hedge fund, what we're building with an amazing team. As many of you know, 2 years ago, we sold the brokerage business to a Swiss private equity company. It was really the work of my life, and I think the new owner is really capable of taking this company forward. I take 2 years off. I traveled the world with my wife. I had an amateur boxing match. Many interesting things were happening, but one thing what was constantly drawing me in was financial markets. That has always been my passion to invest since I worked in a Singaporean VC company during the times where I built my brokerage and also now. You can see that I'm also pretty good at this. Since 2019, I've had a return of 1,300%. And also in 2025, I did manage to beat SP 500 with a return of 24%. You might ask how I did it. Keep watching and I'll show you. As you can see, in April, there was a pretty massive SP 500 price decrease, mostly because of the tariff threats. I knew from the history that it's not so often when the market goes down 20% or more, and because I owned blue chip companies, then I loaded even more of them to my portfolio. You can see that my portfolio was underperforming a couple of months after the tariff announcement, but I did manage to overperform in the second half of the year. So which companies did I own? I owned Google. Google is for me one of the favorite companies to own right now, mostly because a lot of people thought they're dead. OpenAI is going to eat their lunch, but I know that they have one of the best AI teams in the world. You can see that my average weight to the Google position was 28%, but it's pretty high, and it has a 10% impact to my portfolio return. Pershing Square was another company what I owned. It had a 5% positive impact on my performance, and I owned around 20% of my portfolio of this security. Also, I owned Amazon and Rocket Lab. Amazon mostly because I think their price earnings is not the best metric to showcase their business performance. I think operating cash flow is more accurate, and Rocket Lab I think is one of the closest competitors to SpaceX in the future, especially with their new Neutron rocket launching very soon as well. Just to show you some headlines, I mean, the market is always trying to tell you, and especially the journalists, that something bad is going to happen, the market will never recover. But if you own blue chip companies, most likely these are just clickbaits to sell newspapers. Another company what I own is Bill Ackman's Pershing Square. I think Bill Ackman is really one of the top investors in the world. I think he's a guy who will inherit Buffett's legacy, and what he's trying to build with Howard Hughes I think is very similar to Berkshire as well. So I will be owning PSH, what is his ticker, in the foreseeable future as well. But also let's talk about the things what didn't go so well. So 1% negative CTR, so the impact to my portfolio performance, was both from Bitcoin and from USD exposure. As you know, USD depreciated in compared to Euro. But also the biggest loss what I had was when I shorted volatility. And normally I short them with options, but I was shorting this time with a derivative instrument, what was unfortunately called in by my broker because they didn't have enough securities to cover their positions at the unfavorable price. So these are some of the mistakes, and just like any sport, in financial markets as well, you're going to win with some investments, you're going to lose, but it's important to have more winning investments than losing. Just to show you like this instrument as well, that shorting it in the right time can be extremely profitable, but you need to always keep in mind with these kind of instruments that brokers can call them in. So which kind of portfolio I have going into 2026? So this is not my total portfolio, but this is the distribution of the top 10 holdings. And you can see that Google is still the biggest one. I'm not buying more Google at this moment, but I still have a very high percentage from last year. I also have quite a bit of meta. I think they're pretty well positioned for the augmented reality game, but also they have their own models, Llama models, what I think are quite capable open source models as well. And I do own some Amazon as well. I mean, their AWS business and in general, their business is so well diversified. Their growth rate is so high. And I think it's pretty good levels in terms of valuation as well. And also Pershing Square. I think they have a pretty good case to build a Berkshire style conglomerate. I do own quite a lot of Bitcoin and Brookfield as well. Brookfield is an infrastructure play. And in terms of Bitcoin, I'm holding this because I do think that they are a pretty good gold 2.0 candidate. And although their price has been depreciating a little bit lately, I do have a strong belief in the long term. So far I talked to you about my last couple of years, my plans to build a hedge fund. I talked about my portfolio. I talked about how I beat SP 500 index last year. I will be making these videos every week. It's almost like a diary, how to build a hedge fund. You can also learn about the investments, what I'm making, my investment philosophy. So tune in, subscribe, like, and also I would like to wish you the best 2026.